Hey fellow cyclists, we all know a clean buy is a quick buy, but with so many cleaning products on the market, do you know which one is really needed? In this video, I'm going to show you my cleaning routine of my buys with a less than $1 budget. So let's get cleaning. Now whether it's mud, rain, sand, gel, or even sometimes a little bit of blood, our buys go through a lot. But don't worry, today we'll unpack how you can take good care of your bike without spending big money on expensive cycling specific products. I'll show you my full detailed cleaning routine that is fit for a top-end race bike. Ensure it is completely clean and ready for the next race. All you need is your attention. So let's get rolling. Let's dive into some essential tools that you will need. First, of course, would be the detergent. I use car wash detergent, which is 10 times cheaper than a bike-specific product and very effective providing a clean and polished outcome. Second, bucket. A bucket dilutes the detergent and holds clean water for rinsing later. Third, sponge. A clean sponge is preferred for wiping down the bikes. It helps removing the dirt without scratching the surface. Fourth would be the brush. I prefer to use a softer brush to avoid damaging to paint and delicate parts. Fifth, some drying materials like some tea towel or blanket or even your old pajamas can be used to drying things off. These are perfect for getting rid of excess water without leaving any scratches on your bike. Sixth, bike chain plier. These are handy for removing the bike chain easily, allowing for a thorough clean. 7. Some old container. Actually any old container, even like a cut up milk bottle. This is great for holding a bike chain and cassette when cleaning them. 8. The degreaser. Now if you're using an oil chain, the degreaser is a must. I use a bottle of car engine degreaser to submerge the oil chain and cassette for effective cleaning. By gathering these simple, cost-effective tools, you'll be ready to give the bike care that it deserves without breaking your bank. Next, we'll walk you through the step-by-step cleaning process using these items. It is important to prep the bike properly. This ensures there's no component accidentally damaged and making the cleaning process more efficient. Here is what I do. First, I remove the accessory. Start by removing all the accessories such as bike computer, lights, and saddlebags. These items aren't meant for washing and could be damaged when left on the bike. Second, remove the pedals. Removing the pedals minimizes the water contact and prevent potential damage. Third, check the chain wear. Use a chain checker to check the wear and see if it needs replacing. A well-maintained chain can last up to 10,000 km or more. And then fourth, remove the chain. Take off the bike chain and set it aside for a separate cleaning process. Most modern bikes are equipped with a quick link, which makes removing the chain easy. You can use a chain removal tool to take the chain off. If your chain doesn't come with a quick link, you can use a chain tool to break the chain. In that case, I highly recommend installing a quick link for easier maintenance in the future. It is worth noting, some chain links are one-time only, while others are reusable. 5. Pre-wash the bike. Pre-washing the bike helps loosen up the dirt, so when I actually wash it, I'm not scratching the paint. Give it a pre-soak by pouring out detergent water on the frame, especially on the area that attract a lot of dirt, such as the down tube usually collect a lot of mud and dust from the front wheel, while the back on the seat tube is the same, and then lastly, the top tube often have remnants of gel and energy drain mix. Next, when we are ready, we can move on to the detailed cleaning routine using the tools and equipment that we discussed earlier. After you give some time for the detergent to soak in, we can start cleaning the bike. I'll start by the shifter. It is worth spending a bit of time here. I often have gel residue from my hands, and sometimes some packaging material from gels and bars get stuck on the hood a little bit. Also, I'll look at replacing the hood rubber when it starts degrading, and when we feel sticky on my hands, that would be usually a good idea. Now it's time to move on to the bar tape. To be honest, I never bother to clean the bar tape deeply. I simply wash it over with the entire handlebar, including the job position. I spend a bit of time in the job position, so I'll give it a good rub, usually does the trick. Anyway, the bar tape is a little bit consumable and should be replaced when it gets wear out or it becomes sticky. With the shifter and bar tape clean, it's time to move on to another contact point, which is the saddle. I have been asked a few times on how to clean a 3D saddle. If you don't know what a 3D saddle is all about, check out this video and come back to see my bike washed. If you have a 3D printed saddle like this bike, I just run clean water through it to flush out any small rocks and dirt trapped in the saddle. I haven't had to do a lot of detail clean on a 3D saddle. I also inspect the saddle to check if the 3D printed material is still tightly glued to the shell. Sometimes I need to add some more flexible glue to reattach the layer to the shell. For traditional leather saddle, I wipe it with a leather protector product or car interior cleaning product to keep the leather in good condition. If you are applying leather wax, save it for the last so that it doesn't get washed off when you clean the rest of your bike, and buff it off to avoid any wax transfer to your bib. With the saddle clean, we're ready to move on to the next part. Now at this point, if you have a bike stand, it could make the process much easier. While I do have a stand, I found laying the frame upside down and placing a playmat under the 3 contact points worked just fine. To prepare the bike for further cleaning, removing the wheel, this allowed me to clean the wheels and cassette properly and reach some difficult to clean area. And using a disc brake spacer to avoid accidentally pressing the brakes and pushing the piston out of its housing. I always keep few of these lying around, especially when transporting the bike. It is really handy. And there are a few points about washing the frame. First, keeping it gentle. Use a sponge to add more water to the frame and avoid any hard rubbing, at least to begin with, to prevent damage to the top coat. If there is particularly stubborn dirt, try wetting a towel with washing liquid and let it soak for a little bit. Second, visual inspection. Conduct a thorough visual inspection on the frame, checking for any previously unnoticed crack or damage. Third, removing the dry sealant. If you happen to use tubeless tires, you may find dry up sealant stuck to the frame. Ideally, clean it immediately when it's splashed, but it is not always possible during a group ride or race. Some products such as the mock-off sealant remover or other hot air method can help. Regardless of whatever you use, be careful not to damage the top coat. With these steps, the bike will be on its way to look as good as new. Let's move on to cleaning the wheels and cassette. Next up are wheels and brake discs. Washing the rims area of the wheels carefully, avoiding cross-contaminating the brakes. Using a dry cloth to wipe down the rotor body for the brake disc without touching the braking surface. If the rotor or brake pad gets contaminated, it will scream, like very annoying and announcing to everyone that you are braking. If you need to clean the braking surface, just use some isopropyl alcohol with a clean kitchen towel. In my case, the brakes are in good condition, so I just leave them untouched. Next, we'll tackle the cassette. There is 2 options. First, we can remove the entire cassette and submerge it into hot water or degreaser if it's an oil system. However, I rarely do that because they take a lot of time with very little gain. Instead, I just take a piece of old cloth and run it between the cassette sprocket to clean out the old wax. This method is effective enough without the hassle of disassembling and reassembling the entire cassette. Once the surface wash is complete, we assemble the bike, wipe off any excess water and let it dry thoroughly. This step prevents rust and ensures all parts are dry before moving on. Now we're almost done. Let the bike dry completely before moving to the garage to finish the process and get it race ready. The chain is arguably the most important element to keep clean, as it can cost you the most watts. A worn chain might also result in premature wearing chainring and cassette, and here is my routine for cleaning and waxing the chain. Once the chain is removed, I place it with the quick lane in a meal container. It's always good to reuse and recycle to minimize landfill. I often wax more than 1 chain at a time. I'm waxing 3 chains at once in this instance. Pouring hot water in the container and let it sit for about 3 to 5 minutes. This allows the old wax to soften and melt to the surface. Use a small hook to extract the chain from the water, wipe it down with clean rags and hang it on a hanger, and let it sit for 15 minutes to dry it off. I would use a hair dryer on those humid days to speed up the drying process. Many cyclists ask how often I wax the chain. Well, to be honest, I don't completely re-wax the chain every time. Instead, I use a wax-based loop between the wash as a top-up. On average, I top up the chain every 200 kilometers, which only takes 2 minutes and keep the chain in a 90% condition. While I wait for the wax to work through the chain, I start working on the derailleur, starting with the front, I run an old cord through the cage to pick up any residual wax. Not a lot of attention is needed here, but it's important to make sure it is clean. Most of my attention goes to make sure the rear derailleur is in the top condition. I inspect the condition of the jockey wheel and check that they spin smoothly. Often, wax or dust from riding will form a grime on the jockey wheel. Over time, this grime acts like a grinding paste that could damage the entire drivetrain. So I inspect the condition and clean the jockey wheel with a flathead screwdriver or a rag as needed. I avoid using any degreaser here, as it can easily wash off the lubricants in the bearings. If the jockey wheels doesn't spin smoothly, it is best to take them apart and apply lube to the bearings, or replace them entirely if the bearings are really worn out. By giving attention to these crucial components, you will ensure your bike runs smoothly and efficiently as well. Well, now that the chains are fully submerged in the hot wax for at least 15 minutes, it is time to take them out and let them cool down. Be careful, the wax is hot, and while some people wipe down the chain before it cools down, I prefer to keep the hot chains above the wax port to allow the excess wax to drip back into the port. And don't forget the train lane. Fish them out if they get lost in the port. After the chain has cooled down, I use a broomstick to loose the wax between the train lane. Some people use their hands, but I find it too painful. Next, it is time to reinstall the chain. I make sure the chain is facing the right direction and is correctly positioned in the rear derailleur. Once the chain is back on the bike, I do a final check with a chain checker. Ideally, I should always check the chain before cleaning and waxing it, but I have been using the same chains for close to 3 years and it showed a very little signs of wear, and I must admit I forgot to check it a few times. With the chain reinstalled and properly checked, the bike is now ready to hit the road. With the bike now super clean, it's almost ready to roll out. But before that, let's go through the costs involved in washing and waxing the bike. A bottle of good car washing detergent costs about $18 to $20 and it can last up to 50 wash. And to be honest, I replaced the sponge a couple of times before the bottle ran out. Isopropane alcohol, which you can get from Amazon or hardware store, costs about $30 for 5 liters, and 5 liters is almost a lifetime worth of supply. For the wax, a bag of paraffin wax with PTFE additive is just about $20. Having wax close to 20 chain already on the port, this will probably last another 20 wax. All these 3 items together, the cost come to just about 96 cents. So the rest of the equipment such as sponges, brushes, bucket and old clothing are plenty and easy to find in most households. Overall, it is pretty cheap to wash and clean the bike. This regular maintenance will keep your components running for longer, actually saving you money in the long run.
In my opinion, most of the bike cleaning product on the market is pretty much overrated. Well, there is some of them could be very handy. So for example, the sealing remover, when you have a lot of sealing stuck in your downtube and they are dry and really hard to remove. Apart from that, you can do most of your cleaning with your household product with a little bit more attention and love. That will serve you a long time. Once you've done your cleaning, take the bike out for a local spin like what I'm doing right now. Make sure the brakes works and make sure the shifting is clean. And if you need to adjust the index, this is a good time to pick up anything and let the wax work in between the train ring so that whenever next time you go into a group ride or you go into an event, your bike is ready to go. I think you really enjoyed the ride if you keep up with the maintenance with a little bit more attention, very little money to be involved. And with that, I would say thank you so much for your support so far. With this video, we're likely to hit about 1,000 subs, and I really appreciate your support and your encouragement in the past. And if you're not a sub yet, please keep helping us by putting the sub, and I love you guys all. All right, keep on pedaling. See you next time.